Alright, sorry guys, I ran out of memory. But, so the shaking, okay, the shaking had started. Nice shaking like a cradle being rocked for a minute, and then I saw the middle of the boulevard seemed to be breaking in two. The concrete looked as if it would be pushed up by a giant shovel. That is why the girl's car went out of control, and then a loud sound again, like I've never heard before. Now remember, this is 1937. I don't think they had, tsunami or earthquake, sirens and stuff. And then a loud sound like I'd never heard before, then hundreds of sounds, all kinds of sounds, children and women, and those crazy guys with earrings they were all moving. It seemed some of them above the sidewalk. I can't describe it. They were lifted up, and the waters kept oozing and oozing. The cries. It was awful. I woke up. I never want to have that dream again. Now, I'm going to put the link to the stream so you guys can keep on reading for yourselves if you're interested. And what got to me was when he talked about the woman in the white car, how it was a half-size car like he'd never seen before. Well, now they have those now. They're the little tiny square little electric cars, that go around, little tiny ones, enough for like two little people in there, and they're driving around. Well, they drive those things around in Hollywood all the time, especially next to the ocean. So that stuck out to me. And so the more I read through the stream, it was really long. It kept going and going, and it's bad, guys. My eardrums felt as if they were going to burst. Noise everywhere, people falling down, pieces of buildings, chips flying in the air. One hit me hard on the side of the face, but I didn't seem to feel it. I only wanted to wake up to get away from this place. There were older people in cars. Most of the kids were in the street, but the old guys were yelling bloody murder as if anybody could hear them. Nobody could help them. Nobody could help them. It was then I felt myself lifted up. Maybe I had died. I don't know. But I was over the city. It was tilting toward the ocean, like tilting a picnic table. The buildings were holding. The building had a will of its own, everything else breaking around them, and they were holding. I was looking up. I was up over them, looking down. I started to root for them. Hold that line, I said. Hold that line. Hold that line. I wanted to tear, to shout, to scream. If the buildings held, those buildings on the boulevard, maybe the girl with the two kids, maybe she could get inside. Now, she had disappeared. And I don't know if the Lord was showing something for us about rapture. I have no idea, you guys. But she had twins. She was holding them in each of her hands. And that represents the Jew and the Gentile. And then he talks about how the buildings died like a person. They crumbled away like an old man with palsy who couldn't take it anymore. They crumbled right down to nothing. And I was on the coast, and I heard a great earthquake is coming soon. I heard that in a dream. And then I looked down this coast, and there was nothing left. There was rubble. Everything was destroyed. And before, there had been a Ferris wheel there, and then I heard war is coming. Get prepared. And I seen men, military men, in light blue hats. And, so yeah, so then this time it lasted maybe 12 seconds. There was a second one. You couldn't believe anything so gentle could cause so much damage, but then I saw the streets of Los Angeles and everything in between. The San Bernardino Mountains in LA, it was all tilting towards the ocean, houses, everything that was left. I could see the big lanes, dozens of big lanes, still loaded with cars, 5 lanes in one place, and all the cars sliding the same way. Now the ocean was coming in, moving like a huge snake across the land. I wondered how long it was, and I could see the clock. Even though I wasn't there on the boulevard, it was 4:29. It had been half an hour. Remember the silence in heaven? There was a half an hour silence in heaven. I was glad I couldn't hear the crying anymore, but I could see everything. I could see everything. Now he talks about San Francisco was feeling it, but she was not in any way like Hollywood or Los Angeles. I seemed to see it was the Garlock Fault, not just the San Andreas that was rocking San Francisco. It was moving just like that earthquake movie with Jeanette MacDonald and Gable. I could see all those mountains coming together, the Sierra Nevada and the San Andreas and Garlock. Now, a lot of people don't talk about the Garlock fault. So anyway, he shut his eyes for like 10 minutes, and when I opened them, I saw the Grand Canyon, that big gap that was closing in, and Boulder Dam was being pushed from underneath. Now, the Boulder Dam is actually the Hoover Dam. And then Nevada, and then up to Reno. Way down south, way down Baja, California, Mexico too. It looks like some volcano down there was erupting along with everything else. Venezuela seemed to be having some kind of volcanic activity. Away off in the distance, I could see Japan on a fault too. It was so far off, not easy to see because I was still on Big Bear Mountain. But Japan started to go into the sea. I couldn't tell time then, and the people looked like dolls far away. I couldn't hear the screaming, but I could see the surprised looks on their faces. They looked so surprised. They were all like dolls. In a minute or two, it seemed over. Everybody was gone. There was nobody left. Okay, so it said in England there was huge floods. People were carrying candles, and everybody was crying for California, Nevada, parts of Colorado, maybe all of it, even Utah. Everybody was crying. Most of them didn't even know anybody in California, Nevada, or Utah, but they were crying as if they were blood kin, like one family, like it happened to them. New York was coming into view. She was still there. Nothing had happened, yet water level was way high. Here, things were different. People were running in the streets, yelling, "End of the world!" Kids ran into restaurants and ate everything in sight. I saw a shoe store with all the shoes gone in about 5 minutes. Fifth Avenue, everybody running. Some radio blasting from a loudspeaker that in a few minutes power might be shut off. Now remember, people are having dreams right now and making videos and spreading the words that there's going to be an EMP and that New York might get their power turned off. So this guy's seeing what people are waiting for today. 5 girls were running like mad towards the YWCA, that place on Lexington or somewhere. They ran like they were scared to death, but nothing was happening in New York. I saw an old lady with garbage cans, filling them with water. Everybody seemed scared to death. Some people looked dazed. The street seemed filled with loudspeakers. It wasn't daylight, it was night. I saw like the next day, and everything was topsy-turvy. Loudspeakers again about fuel tanks broken in areas shortage of oil. People seem to be looting markets. Okay, so what he's seeing is when everything pops off here, the East Coast goes nuts. Because everybody has had warnings. I mean, just like here, you know, they have the warnings that are coming on the West Coast, but they're asleep. They're not paying attention. Then they have the warnings that are coming on the East Coast, but the East Coast is, I believe, it's the one going to be nuked. So they're going to have all the nukes, you know, and so we're going to have natural disasters first, and then we're going to have nukes on the East Coast when America goes in disarray over this earthquake. And then the invasion. The earthquake and then the invasion. And from pretty much what I'm reading here is we might be raptured before all this, you guys. So then he's talking about listening, hearing people on radios. Someone kept saying, get to the mountains. This is California. We are going into the sea. I repeat, this is California. We are going into the sea. I hadn't seen all what happened to Fresno. That's where he lived. And I hadn't found out what happened to that girl. I've been thinking about it all morning. I'm going home tomorrow. It was just a dream. It was nothing more. See, he didn't remember. And then that girl was so real to me, that girl with those 2 kids. It won't ever happen, but if it did, how could I tell her maybe she isn't even born yet to move away from California when she has her twins and she can't be on the boulevard that day? She was so real. But she disappeared, you guys. He couldn't find her, but he kept thinking about her with her 2 twins. So, yeah. I don't know. I know this is really long, and I wanted to go over this dream with you guys and put some things together that we have all been shown that coincides with this man's dream, from this kid's dream from Fresno in 1937. And I wanted to share that with you about the Apollo Theater and the Otis. And another thing too, a dream that came to mind was I was riding in the back seat of this white truck with this man named Rod and his daughter named Rebecca. Now, Rebecca, I believe, was one of Jacob's wives, and that's where the tribes of Israel came. And Rod, well, Jesus, the Lord carries the rod, the staff. And so we were in this white truck, and we were headed to San Francisco, guys, and we had stopped by a boat lot, and we had bought a boat, hooked it to the truck, and we were headed to San Francisco. Now, we were headed to like Oakland, and let's see, another dream that I had, let me think here. My daughter just popped in. Every time I make these videos, I get so many distractions. Dogs barking. Yeah. But I know I've said these dreams a lot, you guys, but I have a lot of new subscribers, and you know, these were like 300 videos ago. So, I had another dream about San Francisco where I was on my way to San Francisco in this big white truck, and I was with my friend Amanda, and my name's Amanda. They both mean love. And when I got to San Francisco, I was standing in the middle of the city, and there were buildings just everywhere, you know. And I seen Jesus, and he was so tall, his chest, you could only see from his waist down. And he was crashing through the city. He was stomping through the city, and every time he took a step, the city shook. The earth was shaking. And he would take a step, and then buildings would crash and just fall. And he would take another step, and more buildings would crash and fall. And people were running and screaming. They had their hands stretched out in front of them. It was complete chaos, you guys. And as he would take a step, he would reach down and with his hands and scoop people up. And then he would take another step and scoop some people up. And he would take another step and scoop some. He was saving them, you guys. And I believe that represented the rapture as well, as this earthquake was going off. So, you know, I don't know exactly, like, if that's, because I've had other people where I've seen their dreams that they're dreaming about war, you know, soldiers coming into their town, or I don't know, guys, but I know it's going to be in that, just about that same area of time period. And I know that, you know, I'm nothing. I am completely nothing. I'm just, you know, I'm just a sinner that has dreams and visions, and that my commission, my mandate is to warn people that these things are coming. God is coming to bring his judgments. He's named them. Agnes, he told me the name of the next bull to be poured out is Heidi. And I had another dream. The name of the bull after that is Agnes. And then another bull's name was Chloe. And then another one was named, I heard, Alicia will fall from the sky. You know, and these names, if you look them up in Hebrew, you will see one of them means a fault, a vertical fault in the ground. Another one means a blue star. One of them means Hadassah, which was the woman that saved the Jews. She married the king. It's just, you know, tell whoever you can about Jesus. It's just so on my heart that people need to give their life to Christ before it's too late, because he's the only one that's going to save them. And he gave his life on the cross that those that believe upon him would not perish but have everlasting life. That's John 3:16. And I stand by that promise. And the promise is for everybody that believes upon him. He will give them the Holy Spirit, and they will be born again. And from their bellies will flow rivers of living water. And that is a promise. And to their families. He will save their families. And the Lord is just so merciful, you guys, and loving, and I just love him. You know, I was out in the world and I was doing terrible things. I was practicing witchcraft, you guys. In my mind, I didn't think it was witchcraft, but it was. It was. And he saved me. He delivered me. He brought me to him. And like, I didn't deserve it. I didn't deserve it. And none of us deserve it. But if we reach out, you know, he gives you an open door. And when you walk through that door, you're his. And he just saves you and he delivers you and you become, you know, he gives you the Holy Spirit and you're sealed for all eternity. And he just loves us. And he doesn't want any of us to perish. And, but anyway, you guys, my little chickens, they were here and now they're gone. So they're somewhere in the yard. I have to go find them. But I love you guys, and I hope you have a blessed day.